Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
My name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. Thank you for taking this time and being with us. Maria, how are you?
I am better than ever. How are you?
I'm still alive, working, paying taxes. That's what's going on. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and let us know where you're coming in from.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. I am coming to you live from Vancouver, BC, Canada, but my network is global. So wherever you are, hello. And I can't wait to share all the valuable information that I've picked up from Think and Grow Rich.
How did you end up in Canada? Oh my God.
My background is Greek originally, but yeah, my parents migrated over here years ago, and this is
What
where
were your
I
parents thinking? Living Greece? Oh my God.
You know what?
Oh,
I'm going back. That's one of my goals. I'm going back.
okay.
Hello,
You should go
everyone.
back.
Hello. Thank you
You
so
should
much for
work on
joining
getting
us.
yourself deported. That is awesome. Let's dive into Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
When did you start? How did you start?
You know, I probably picked up the book like 6 years ago, but at the time it didn't really mean very much to me. And I know that sounds funny, but I think that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And sometimes you pick a book up, you read it once, and you're like, I didn't really get very much from it. And then just like literally months ago, I picked it up again. And it was then that I said, you know what? I get it now. I totally get it. At the time, I wasn't ready to hear the message, but I finally got it. So I've read it maybe 3 times, and I have plans to read it at least 1,000 times, Vahid, at least 1,000 times.
Awesome, awesome. How could you read the book the first time and not get anything out of it?
Well,
OMG.
it's not that
What
I
were you,
didn't get
which part
anything
of it
out of
were you
it.
reading? There's no way you could
No,
read this and not get it.
no, it's not that I didn't get anything out of it. I wasn't ready at the time. So I understood the basic principles, but I really wasn't ready to absorb the knowledge. And honestly, today, I mean, look at these notes. Like,
That is awesome. That is,
so
so, okay, elaborate. What do you mean you were not ready? Were you going through a divorce? Were you having a baby? Were you too difficult in your
yeah,
life? Was
it
it
was,
your business? What was the, what do you mean you weren't ready? Like physically you weren't ready? What do you mean by that?
mentally. It's all about your mindset and where your mindset is at the time. At the time, yes, I was going through a very difficult time in my life. I had a certain lifestyle. I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And so I just mentally, I wasn't in the space. But I'm lucky by some reason, the book appeared again and I picked it up, and I got everything that I needed to get. And I share it with everyone. I share it with my network, and I apply the principles as much as I can, because it is a practice, you know. And like I always say, I'd rather read one book 1,000 times than 1,000 books one time and not apply any of the knowledge that we're actually getting from the book, right? Because knowledge without action is completely useless. Does everybody agree? Knowledge without action is completely useless. So you could read this book 100 times, and if you're not taking away even one principle, there's no benefit, right?
I agree with that
Knowledge is not
100%.
power. It's the
Exactly.
application of that knowledge.
Exactly. Exactly. Unless we're talking about marriage, then the knowledge is power, and then
Are
you
we
apply
talking
it,
about marriage?
and
Why
then
are we
oh,
talking about marriage?
no, it's so funny that you. It's so funny that I bring that up. Yesterday, one of my associates, we were talking, and we were talking about this one guy that's doing really good in the business, and we were talking about commitment issues. And I said, you know, business and marriage life, they're identical, they're parallel to each other. So if you open a business and you don't have a commitment, meaning you don't marry your business and you don't change your ring from the right side to the left side, saying do or die, for the better, for worse,
Yeah.
for better, for whatever, we are filing our taxes together. This is it. There's no wishy-washy this. At
Yeah.
night, I'm gonna go home because I got someone waiting for me. And
Yes.
it's 2 opinions, it's 2 decisions, it's all of that stuff. So
I
when
agree.
people can make commitments in one
Yes.
area of their lives, I also look at the other area. Now, that doesn't mean everybody needs to get married and everything else, but it is the
You're
same
making an
feeling.
analogy, and I totally understand what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. And I want to go back to, I want to touch on this point a little bit. And he talks about it in the book. It's about that desire, and it's about
Right,
being committed to something rather than just being interested in something. So let me
right.
elaborate a little bit. Everybody watching here, is interested in getting rich and becoming healthier and having more money and having a better relationship and having a skinny body. We all wish these things, right? But wishes are not concrete things. And so he says there's a big difference between being committed to something, like you said, and just being interested in getting something. And so that level of commitment means that you will do whatever it takes. And that's what he's talking about. It's that mindset and that concept of, I have this idea. It's something that I think about incessantly, which is in my case what happened when I created the Ladies Who Lunch Network. Like, it was something I thought about constantly. Like, even if I said, I don't want to do this anymore, I'd wake up the next day and that's the first thing that I want to do. So it's about being committed rather than being interested, because when you're committed, you are taking entirely different actions than someone who's just interested. And that's something he talks about in the book.
So how committed are you to real estate?
Yeah, I mean, my background is education. I used to be a high school teacher. I love teaching what I know, sharing my knowledge with others. I got into real estate 13 years ago when I was pregnant with my son, who's now 13. And the Ladies Who Lunch Network was born 6 years ago as a passion project. It was this idea that I had to connect women, to support them, to inspire them, and to really help them achieve all of their goals and dreams. And this burning desire of mine just would not leave my mind. And so I've been incredibly persistent in the attainment of this goal. And persistence is one of the things that Napoleon Hill talks about and highlights incessantly.
So this is a female group. You completely like sexist, hardcore, like no males can get in. Like, nothing. Okay, I understand that. I love it how if a guy comes up with a male group, everybody attacks it and says, "Oh, see, yeah, it's only guys, this." But if female comes up with that, it's totally natural. I'm supposed to be okay with it, and no reaction, no nothing. Oh, okay, just for all women.
I will explain a little bit. You know, essentially, it's a networking group. It's a global networking group for female entrepreneurs, and men are not allowed. I don't like to say it that way.
But that's exactly what it is, though.
The reason I created it, Vahid, was because women have different challenges than men. I'll be very honest. And oftentimes
it's just some hormones. Like, what other challenges is it? Like,
okay, the challenges are in mindset. I don't know what it is, but men are generally a little bit more. I'm sorry if I'm going to offend anyone here, but tend to be a little more confident. It could be because of their upbringing or just their environment, but women have a lot of self-confidence issues. And so the group was really meant to support them, to inspire them, and really to help them build their self-confidence. And we share stories of inspiration, really. So for my own example, you know, being married, having lost everything, you know, going from living in a beautiful home, having everything, to literally being homeless, and then thinking about what has that experience taught me, and then rising above my circumstances. And this is also something he talks about in the book, the ability to rise above your circumstances, because we are not our environment, right? So through my own story, I wanted to inspire other women. It's like, if you've been through this, it's okay. You are going to get through it. And here are some of the things that I learned that I want to share with you. So essentially, that's really what the group is all about.
It's cool. I hope my mom doesn't watch this video. She's gonna be like, what's going on? Like, you should be empowering females like this. Like, she's totally on the female side. Like, my mom will sell me out like in 2 seconds. If she had to choose between a female group and her peers and everything else, she'll choose that. Like, I'm like, I have confidence. She would choose that. She's like, yeah, we all gotta stick together. This.
No,
I think it's just this.
It's not about that. Our group is not about being against men or hate. Like, honestly, I mean, I love men. You don't get me wrong. It's just about you know, just about dealing with certain issues that women have that men may not have. That's all it is. We love men. We have nothing against men.
But to me personally, I mean, think about it. I have seen more female women that are single moms than I've seen single dads that are taking care of children.
Absolutely.
So to me, when it comes to strength, it's very subjective. You have to talk about that. Like, I've seen so many single moms that work, they cook, they take care of the household, they take care of the baby, they raise their children in the right manner. I mean, all of the things that you would need 2 individuals or possibly a whole entire village to do. they're able to do. So to me, it's like they just need to find that sweet spot of knowing that they're capable of doing it.
Yes.
The minute that the belief is in there that they're good enough and they can do it, then they can move mountains. I don't see any issues with it.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because you just said it. You talked about belief and believing in yourself and having that self-confidence and faith, which is actually one of the principles that Napoleon Hill talks about. And it is faith and that belief in yourself, you know. And when I first started, I had this crazy idea. I didn't really believe that it was actually ever going to take off. And my self-confidence needed to be built. And people say to me, Marie, well, how do I develop that belief? Like, I can see that you're self-confident now, but how did you get there and how do you develop that? And I mean, there's a couple of things really, but let's talk about what he talks about in the book. It's really through self-discipline and habit. I think your success is found in your daily habits. That's really the whole idea of this book, is that you are what you repeatedly do day in, day out. And people say to me, well, how do you cultivate habits? Through repetition and practice. That's really it. And developing self-discipline. And I love Brian Tracy. He's also a huge mentor of mine. And he says, good habits are very hard to form, but easy to live with. Bad habits, on the other hand, are very easy to form and hard to live with. And really, the secret to success is the cultivation of good habits. That's it. That's one of the things, but I'm here to share my biggest takeaways.
But I want to know something. I want to know something. You were going through turbulences, challenges, and difficulties. I think we all do, to a certain extent. And sometimes we think our challenges and our difficulties are it, and is the biggest thing on the planet, and nobody else has gone through it. But everybody goes through the same amount, if not more, depending on their level of tolerance and the limiting belief that they have. But here's my question that I'm trying to get to. At what point did you know that you had to change things and things were going to be okay? Was it the support system you had? Was it that you read a book? Was it that one day you were just tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired? Was it an event that happened? Or is it the force of having children and you have to deliver for them and you got to provide for them? What was that turning point? Because everybody has a turning point. And I want people to be able to recognize that this is my turning point, because a lot of times they recognize it, but it's later down the line, so, you know, maybe 6 months, 1 year, 5 years down the line, where that turning point could have been much earlier and they could have saved a lot of time. So what was that for you?
I would say that for the majority of my life, I always thought that success came from you know, being with someone else, or dating that successful person, or even marrying that successful person, to be honest with you. And all my life, I always sort of dated these very, very, very successful people, because deep down inside, I didn't really have the belief that I could attain that success for myself. And my aha moment came when I was having lunch with a very successful individual. And my sister said to me, how was the lunch? Like, what was he like? I said, he was okay, kind of self-centered and whatever. And she said to me, Maria, why don't you just be your own? And then she said his name. And that was my aha moment, because I said, but Joanna, I said, me? I'm not as powerful as him. I could never do what he's doing. I don't have the money. I don't have the this. I don't have the that. And so that's where all of the negative thoughts came in, and the excuses and all of that. And then I said to myself, wait a minute. What if I could be all those things that I was looking for in someone else? What if I could be those things myself? And I was like, wow, that was my aha moment. So that's when things started to change for me, Vahid.
What was his name?
What was his name? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know what? I write about it in my book. But I don't think I mentioned his name. I published this last year. This was a bucket list thing for me. Girl with a Plan: Success Strategies for Life and Business. And this is one of the things that Napoleon Hill also talks about. He says you have to have a plan, right? So as soon as you have that idea, you have the desire, you have the faith, you have the persistence, the next step is that, okay, what is the plan to get there? And
that is cool. How come I don't have an autographed version of, how come I don't have a copy of the book? What's up?
I'm going to send you a
Is that
copy.
only for female? Is that all for the women entrepreneurs?
No, it's not. It's called Girl with a Plan just because I'm a girl and I had a plan. But the book actually is read by everyone. I've had, even young teenagers read it, and it's helped them a lot. So in the book, I talk about my secret formula for success. I'm happy to share it with you here really quickly. Really, it's patience, persistence, commitment, consistent action, belief, and accountability, which is really a lot of the principles that Napoleon Hill talks about. And I wrote the book without really remembering these principles. And now that I go back to the book, I'm like, oh, he says the same thing. So the book is written from my own experience. So what he talks about in this book is 100% right.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, I don't know if you have any other books in your library, but this is the only one I try to keep, and that's it. But I mean, we'll add yours to it. No hard feelings, but this is our favorite. So
absolutely,
this is what we've been working on.
Absolutely. I love this book. I recommend it to everyone. Another one that I really enjoy by him is Outwitting the Devil. I'm sure you've also read that one. So, but really the concepts are all the same. I want to share my two biggest takeaways because I don't know how much time we have, but I want to really...
No, go ahead. Take your time. Go ahead. Tell us those two. I want to hear it.
Okay. So the biggest takeaways, I just did a few, but the first one is really you are who you associate with. And I think you are using this principle perfectly in what it is that you're doing. So I don't have to elaborate too much, but as you know,
go ahead and elaborate to a lot of, I think it's very misunderstood. And I got a lot of questions, so I want you to fully elaborate what do you mean by that, your association, because a lot of people think they just hang out with friends. So I'll let you explain that.
Okay, so this is called The Power of Association. It's actually a chapter in my book. So really it's about, you don't realize the effect that the people that you have in your life have on you until one day it's like 10 years later and you're like, how the heck did I end up here? Well, you ended up there because of your associations. Because when I say you are the average of the people you surround yourself with, we are talking about you are the average of all of their collective thoughts. You are the average of their collective income. You are the average of their behavior and their results. And actually, they say that you will have the average income of the people that you're actually, all this, that you are surrounding yourself with. So think about this. Would you rather surround yourself with people that are making $1 million a year or a month or whatever it is that you want? And then some people say to me, well, Maria, I can't spend time with these people. I don't know these people like you do. How do I do that? And I say, you know what, you guys, that is the most easiest thing that you can do these days, because look at this beautiful thing we have called the internet. You can have, I wake up with Jim Rohn every day. I wake up with Tony Robbins. I wake up with Jack Canfield, and I go to bed with them every night. You see, these are people that can come into your life. You don't have to meet them physically, right? So the internet has a way of bringing us together, and you can have these mentors, and you can surround yourself with their ideas and their principles and their advice every single day. So number one, the power of association is huge.
So hold on, I have a comment on that.
Okay.
Here's when someone says that it's difficult to get. Well, first of all, I don't take them to my bed with me. They're on the side of my bed. So we gotta clarify that, okay? Their wives are gonna get all jealous after watching this video. They're on my side of my bed. My wife is my bed and my daughter is in my bed. So they're on the side of my bed.
Yes,
right?
You know what I mean, right? It's a joke.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this is what, okay. The way I understood it, in order for me to go to, let's say I want to get into calculus class, I'm not going to just jump in and just get a calculus class. It doesn't work like that. It's not just getting into the calculus class. I got to take basic math. Then I might take some algebra. I might not be that good. I might stay there for like a year or two. Then I might get into. So it's an elevation in the process of you going little by little and getting there. And that's what makes a big difference. For a lot of people, I see they want to make the jump. I don't think you should make the jump. I think what you should do is start looking around. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say I make $50,000 a year. I want to start associating with people that make 70, 80,000. I may not get to the guy who makes $1 million yet, but to me, it's moving from one group to another group to another group. So if I get to the 70,000, then I might get to the 90,000, then I might get to the 150. So it might take me a year or two to replace my surrounding and get there. but then that's exactly what it needs to be. Little by little, you'll get there. I see a lot of people want to jump and then go sit down with millionaires.
You know why?
I don't know if I sit down with, you know, multi-millionaires at the beginning of my career, I would have had that much to contribute. I don't know if I had that much conversation, engaging conversation, or nor would I had the tools to take advantage of those associations either. So to me, it's like you got to go step by step. You don't want to just jump in there. Now, if you're someone that could jump and could take care of it, cool. By all means, do that. But to me, I did it gradually, and that tends to work the best for me, at least.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I just want to make a comment. Hi, everyone. People are asking what's my Facebook page. It's at Lunch with Maria, one word. But I want to talk about this concept of when you see someone and you look at their page, like you say, and you look at everything that they've accomplished and you think, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to get there. How do these people do it? And you often think that these people are an overnight success, but what you're actually looking at is their production reel. You're not looking at the behind the scenes. And the behind the scenes could take up to 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It doesn't matter. But, you know, so don't look at people's production reel. Like, it took them a long time to get to where they are. And anyone that tells you otherwise is just not true.
It takes 20 years to become an overnight success.
Exactly. My second one is I want to really impress upon this fact is that your mindset is everything. In other words, you have the power to control your thoughts. That's the only thing that we can control in life is our thoughts. And a lot of people are really unaware of this. One of my chapters is don't be a zombie. It's like people often go through life unaware. They're completely unaware of their thoughts. And so they don't understand why they're getting the results that they're getting in life. And I have a formula. It's really, really simple. You may know the book, The Power of I Am by Joel Osteen, but literally it's like the words that you speak give rise to the feelings that you're feeling. And then the feelings that you're feeling will give rise to the actions. They'll dictate the actions that you take. And in turn, those actions are going to give you the results in life. So anytime you're not getting a result that you want, you always have to trace it back to step one. It's like, what am I telling myself? What are the words that I'm using? And what are the thoughts that I'm thinking? And Napoleon Hill talks about this a lot in the book. The other thing is that people give up way too soon, Vahid. And he talks about...
That is like the biggest killer. That is like the biggest killer of success. If there was a book that needs to be written on that, it's just never, ever, 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 never, never, never.
But let's clarify that. Let's clarify that a little bit. So number one, at the first sign of failure, people give up, right? And that's ridiculous because as he talks about failure as a stepping stone, I call failure gathering data. That's what I call it, right? Like, how can you know and how can you get better at something if you're not trying it, right? So the people that watch everybody in the ring and they, you know, they criticize and they say, oh, look at it. There are people up in the stands. Those guys aren't actually down in the ring. The people in the ring actually taking the shots and missing and falling down and getting blood on their face and getting back up again, those are the successful people. And I welcome failure. And that's what I tell my son. Like this morning in the car, I said, you know, I want you to fail and I want you to learn from that experience so that you can do better or differently next time. He's like, you're right, mommy. So it's
as long as you don't repeat the same mistakes. As long as you don't repeat the same mistakes, I'm cool.
But Vahid, this is a thing with mistakes. It's like, if you're constantly making the same mistake, you haven't learned the lesson yet. And so that lesson is going to be showing up. It's going to be different people, different situations with a different name, but it's the same lesson. It's not until you actually get the lesson. Once you get the lesson, you're going to evolve to the next step. And so most people give up way too soon. And like I say, quitters never win and winners never quit, right? So, and I love this.
I mean, I have a little bit of a spin to that.
Okay.
It's also, it is not a weakness to throw the towel in. It's show of strength that sometimes you might be on the wrong path. And once you have the data, once you have the research, once you know that it is sometimes more powerful to give up what you're doing that is wrong and move on to the next. I see that happening to a lot of business owners where there's a bubble where they got that resilience. They just want to keep doing it. And they think, they give a shit about what other people are going to think, because this is going to be a list, a number on their failure list. To me, it is more powerful. It is show of strength to sometimes switch direction. That doesn't mean you give up on your future and your goals. It's just that this direction that I was going, I get on the 405 freeway. 405 is busy. There's 2 accidents. It doesn't mean I should be on the freeway. I exit and I take the side street. So my plan was to take the 405, but by me observing that is not going to get me to my destination, now I need to switch. I didn't give up on 405. I just realized that, you know, side street must. So a lot of people are in that stage where they feel bad to give up.
I get it. And this is the most difficult question you can ask yourself as an entrepreneur. And I've asked my mentors about it all the time. It's like, how do I know to keep going, right? How do I know to keep going? And how do I know that it's time to, like you said, maybe alter course and switch direction? And I think the answer to that is this. If you have that end vision, right? So for example, my end vision is a global community of women in business supporting one another. Okay, great. But if I've tried so many different things, I swear, I've tried so
I'm going to get you so many women network. I'm going to tell all my followers, if they're females, they need to come to you. They want to feel empowered, they got to come to you.
LWLnetwork.com, Life Without Limits. But you see, so the end vision is there, but I've tried so many things that have flopped, you know, and I've fallen flat on my face, and I thought it would work. It didn't work, but it's okay to alter course. And so I think the question is this working? Do I feel good about it? Am I at least making progress? If you're making progress, then I say keep going. And I love that story about 3 feet from gold. And you know what? Vahid, every time I give up, and I talk to my sister about this all the time. Every time I feel like giving up, this is the expression that I always say. I did not come this far to only come this far. I got so angry because I've worked so hard, and I just say, oh no. I did not come this far to only come this far. And I think back to that story, 3 feet from gold, where the guy was like years and years and years, and he finally gave up, and he was like 3 feet away from the gold. So
but Maria, here's the part that we don't talk about in the 3 feet from gold. My first 2 years of reading Think and Grow Rich, I only read 3 feet from gold, and I put the book aside, and that got me going for 2 years. Like, that was the only thing that I read. I didn't even get to chapter 1. Like, that was it. Those 2 pages got me going for the first 2 years. But here is what's very, very important about that story. The junkman who bought the rights to the mine, he was meditating, and he was thinking. He had those goals to not be a junk man. He wanted to go into the mining business. And it took him those 25 years to save up the money and had it. So when R.U. Darby quit and wanted to sell the mine, the opportunity presented itself to the junk man, and then the junk man took advantage of that and paid and went immediately, got a mining engineer to find out. I'm not an expert on mining, so my opinion should not have anything to do with anything that we do. Like, I gotta zip it up and just sit back. I'm just an investor. That's it. But I get the mining engineer to come and detect where did the project and how did the project fail.
Yeah.
And when it does fail, okay, what do we need to do? So the engineer told the guy, if you keep digging for 3 more feet, that's where it's going to be. So to me, there are a lot of people out there that buy failing businesses and they turn them around because the existing owner does not realize what they got in their hand.
Absolutely. There's 2 sentences in the book that sum up the entire book, and I want to share them with everyone. One is, for me, page 246, but it's not going to be the same page for you. But basically, faith and fear. Let's talk about faith and fear. My ex-husband actually taught me this one a long time ago. He said, you know, Mersey, which is my nickname, he said, faith and fear cannot exist together. So when we'd be flying in the airplane and we'd have turbulence and I get all freaked out, he's like, don't be scared, have faith. Faith and fear cannot exist together. That's the first time I heard it. Second time in this book, faith and fear make very poor bedfellows. Where one is found, the other cannot exist, right? So if you want to be successful, you got to let go of that fear. right? So can I get your book in the UK? Absolutely, you can. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Girl with a Plan. The next
Hold
one
on, don't
is,
get the copy. I need to get the copy first. Wait a minute. Nobody buy anything, okay?
not
I got to
until
get my
Vahid
copy
gets it.
first.
And the last one, Vahid, is powerful and mighty is the human mind. It builds or it destroys. And I think this is really the key to the whole book is you have the power within yourself to choose what you want to think. And how do we choose? First of all, we choose by becoming aware of what we're already thinking. And awareness is really the key. Like I said, people go through life not being aware of your thoughts. The moment that you become aware of what you are thinking is the moment that you can change it, the moment that you have the power to change it. And that's the first step. So success comes to us when we control our minds. That's really it. And we direct it towards the achievement of our goals. And that's really what Think and Grow Rich is all about. There's more, and we recommend it. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Book Club. I read a book a week, and I disconnected TV 4 years ago. So people think I'm crazy. They're like, "What? You don't have TV?" I don't have TV. I have it, but it's not connected.
Is it mandatory for your son to read Think and Grow Rich every night?
Yeah, absolutely. I do. I get him to read all my books, and sometimes he complains, but he's only 13. It's okay.
That's the dictatorship right there. That's hardcore. All right. So how good is your Greek?
Excellent.
So let's do this. I want you to tell me why everybody should read this book in Greek, so that way all of our Greek followers, they could. I only know Sagapo. That's it. I only know a few things.
Sagapo is I love you. Okay.
So say that in Greek. Why people should read Think and Grow Rich?
Think and Grow Rich είναι ένα βιβλίο που πρέπει να διαβάσεις, γιατί μέσα σε αυτό το βιβλίο έχει όλα τα μυστικά για να γίνεις και να πάρεις ό,τι θέλεις στη ζωή σου.
You got it. Good. That is awesome. Listen, I want to.
My comfort zone, but it's good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking this time and being here with us today. Hopefully we'll get to do it more often. Hopefully you're going to have me a guest speaker for your female woman club.
We do.
You know, I'll be the first honorary man that has ever entered that group. And I'm going to, anyway, it's cool. It's all good.
Someone asked the name of the book. It's Girl with a Plan. Girl with
the Plan. I'll make sure the team tags you when we do the video and everything else, so they know what's going on. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.